that may encompass relief measures for government employees and addressing wage disparities. Additionally, support for unorganized sector workers and an expansion of the Devanarayan scheme for religious site development are speculated to be a part of BJP's commitments.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
Now, the war between Israel and Hamas has entered the 41st day. Let's take a look at the top developments. Fighting continues at the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. The Israeli tanks and soldiers are currently searching the Al-Shifa hospital compound where they believe several Hamas terrorists have taken shelter. The Israeli military releases proof of Hamas weapons at the hospital. Israel's military has released photos of firearms, flak jackets and other light equipment it claimed to have found at the hospital. The UN Security Council has adopted resolution calling for humanitarian pauses. The UN Human Rights Office has warned of fuel depletion in Gaza. Israel has asked some residents of Khan Yunis to evacuate. 11,500 Palestinians and 1,200 Israelis have been killed so far in the war. Now, the latest coming in from the 41st day of the Israel-Hamas war is that the fighting is continuing at the Al-Shifa hospital. That's where the Israeli military believes, that's where the Israel believes that several of these Hamas terrorists have taken shelter. The Israeli Defense Forces soldiers have been searching the Al-Shifa hospital compound, and they've also released proof of Hamas weapons at the hospital. Israeli tanks have reportedly also entered the medical compound, and soldiers also are currently present inside the buildings, including the emergency and surgery departments, which house intensive care units. The Israeli military has also released photos of firearms, flak jackets and other light equipment it claimed to have found at the hospital. UN Security Council has adopted resolution calling for humanitarian pauses. The UN Security Council has passed a resolution calling for urgent and extended humanitarian pauses and corridors throughout the Gaza Strip. The UN Human Rights Office, meanwhile, has warned of fuel depletion in Gaza. Israel has also asked some residents of Khan Yunis to evacuate. And talking about the death toll now, 11,500 Palestinians have lost their lives, while 1,200 Israelis have been killed so far in the war. Do remember that it was the 7th of October when Hamas launched a deadly assault against Israel, killing about 1,200 people and taking about 224 people as hostages. Israel has vowed to retaliate and settle at nothing less than eradicate Hamas. The Israeli army released a video claiming to depict the delivery of aid to Al-Shifa hospital, stating that it was part of their ongoing operation against Hamas. The hospital in the Gaza city has been a primary target in the ground operation, with Israeli forces alleging that Hamas operates a key headquarters in tunnels beneath it. A claim that has been denied by Hamas. Troops entered the hospital conducting searches in rooms and the basement after days of siege, raising global concerns about the safety of trapped civilians. Israel asserted that its forces engaged in a confrontation with fighters outside the hospital, killed some and brought medical supplies for those inside. The Israeli tanks and soldiers are currently searching Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital compound. It's been about 2.5 weeks since Israel sent tanks and ground troops into northern Gaza. And now it has been searching, the forces have been searching the Al-Shifa hospital, the largest hospital in the Gaza region, where they claim that the Hamas terrorists are taking shelter. The Israeli army also released a video of the same and there claiming to depict the delivery of aid to Al-Shifa hospital. Right on your screens, visuals of the same. They stated that it was a part of their ongoing operation against Hamas. Israeli troops found weapons, combat gear and technological equipment in Al-Shifa hospital in the Gaza Strip and are continuing their search of the complex. Here's more.
At
this stage, the forces are sweeping the area, scanning and locating weapons of war and terrorist tunnels. IDF forces continue to operate at this hour in a targeted manner in Shifa Hospital. We launched this operation last night on Shifa, a location that we knew from intelligence held terrorist infrastructure, and now we are deepening the operation. In the hospital, we found weapons, intelligence, military technology, and military equipment. Additionally, an operational command center and technological assets belonging to Hamas. The technology and the materials have been sent to intelligence for inspection and review. Our forces continue to operate inside the hospital in a targeted fashion based on our intelligence to uncover and eliminate terrorist activity in the hospital.
Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, IDF international spokesperson, recently shared a video from inside Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. The footage reveals significant amounts of Hamas ammunition alongside other military supplies and intelligence documents. Notably, all CCTV cameras within the hospital were deliberately covered with black tape. The ammunition is concealed behind MRI machines and in various chambers throughout the hospital. Take a look.
Shalom everyone, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan from the IDF here. I am in the Shifa hospital, as you can see from the sign behind me, and as you can clearly see from the building. We are going to do a one-shot video. One shot, no editing, of all of the evidence that we have found just now in this building of the Shifa hospital. So we're inside the MRI center of the Shifa hospital. Israeli troops breached here a few hours ago and we have cleared the area, make sure that it's safe. And a few of the most interesting things that we have found totally confirm, without any doubt, that Hamas systematically uses hospitals in their military operations in violation of international law. And what we have found, I think, is only the tip of the iceberg. Let me show you a few examples. Security cameras have been obstructed. All of the security cameras are covered, and this isn't the only one. You'll see the rest of them here. Follow me as we go in, and we will see the MRI center and see the weapons that Hamas has hidden inside. This is where patients come in order to get MRI services. We'll proceed into a more secluded area. And the lighting here is out, so we're using flashlights. We're now, as you can see, in an MRI room. I don't know when this was used the last time. But it is definitely an MRI machine. And if you follow me behind the MRI machine, I'll show you what our troops exposed just minutes ago. In military terms, this is a grab bag. Grab and go of a Hamas combatant, and if you zoom in and we get some light over here, what you will be able to see is military equipment. There is an AK-47, there are cartridges, ammo, there are grenades in here, of course uniform, And all of this was hidden very conveniently, secretly behind the MRI machine. On the other side, we found a backpack with what appears to be very important intelligence, including a laptop, and we'll show you that momentarily. Let's go see the next room. So we're still in the MRI center. The backpack was found in here, and it was also hidden behind the MRI machine. As you can see, the rest of the equipment here is proper hospital equipment, right? Bandages and medical gear. It seems as if there's no real shortage because there's a lot of equipment here, but we'll leave that for another discussion. Let's go see weapons and other prohibited items. As we walk through the main corridor here, our troops did a preliminary search of the area. We tried to uncover the cameras, but all of the cameras have been obstructed. You can see there's black tape covering it. And when our troops opened this closet here, which is in the main part of the clinic, this is what they found. These weapons have absolutely no business being inside a hospital. The only reason they're here is because Hamas put them here, because they use this place, like many other hospitals and ambulances and sensitive facilities inside the Gaza Strip, for their illicit military purposes. So there's Kalashnikov rifles here, even ammunition. And let's go see the next part of the of what we have here. Another MRI machine. Another MRI machine where behind it we also found contraband similar to what you saw in the other areas. And let's go see the last thing, which is more related to intelligence, which I think we will be able to extract quite a lot of interesting intelligence from. If you can see, follow me. Up here on top of a spare part of the MRI department, we found another grab bag. It's empty because we emptied it and cleared it so that we could use and see it. So this is where we found it, and here are the contents of the bag. The contents of the bag are full military kit for one Hamas terrorist. A live grenade, ammunition, fighting vest with insignia, boots, and of course uniforms, and last but not least, standard AK-47. Inside the hospital, hidden in a secluded area, take a look at this door here. Blast-proof door, which is part of the clinic and part of the infrastructure of the hospital. Everything else looks like a hospital, only this part doesn't. Last part. Now we will see something that our intel researchers are looking into. Hold on, before we go on, let's have a look at what we found inside the very same cabinet that houses medical equipment. You can see all kinds of standard military medical stuff. We found another go-to bag, this bag here. And again, we opened it up in order to make sure that it's safe to touch and show. So please don't give me any of that. You opened it up and you placed it there. This is the bag that we found, and this is the stuff that was in it. Now, there's insignia, military insignia, a knife. For those of you who read Arabic, you'll be able to understand what it says here. But it's Hamas, the military wing, Kataib al-Qassam, of course a vest with equipment, and as always an AK-47, standard gear, grab and go, which they thought would be a good place to store inside a hospital. And the last item, which I'm sure will be very interesting to analyze, is a laptop. We found it in the MRI room. This is how the laptop looks. I don't know who it belonged to, but now it is being analyzed by our intel people. Tactical radio communications, which we will analyze. Lots of disks, which will be analyzed. And a computer, which at first glance already provides a lot of incriminating.
Now, video released by Gaza's Ministry of Health on the 15th of November and shot at least a day earlier showed medics wheeling patients on stretchers through smoke-filled hallways at Al-Shifa Hospital in the Gaza city. On Wednesday, the Israeli troops went into Shifa Hospital, searching rooms and the basement, according to witnesses. The siege sparked global concern following Israel's claim of a deadly clash at the hospital gates. Take a look.
The medical teams are taking care of the situation because of the heavy dust. They are suffocating from this dust debris caused by the shell that was fired on the specialities building. So it is a direct targeting of the specialities building. Patients are being evacuated, who were evacuated in the first place from intensive care to the hallways. It is a very difficult and complicated situation. Patients are now being evacuated away from the dust and smoke that caused the suffocation of injured people. Patients are being evacuated with difficulty. Heavy dust is everywhere.
Now, heavy rains have added to the already existing woes of the Gazans, bringing fresh challenges for Palestinians. Many people in Gaza are living in makeshift tents following weeks of bombardment from the Israeli side. The rainy season brings along fears of flooding, and the densely populated enclave's sewage system is at risk of being overwhelmed.
Streams of water ran through a UN shelter in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza on Tuesday after heavy rain. The downpour brought with it new concerns and challenges for Palestinians, many of whom are homeless and living in makeshift tents after weeks of Israeli bombardment. Fayez Suru is one of them.
Winter is a nightmare. The situation we're facing now will be a nightmare. In the past, I used to wish for winter to arrive and for the rain to fall, for the trees to start to blossom and grow so that we can harvest, when everything looks so beautiful. But right now, I pray every day for it not to rain. We are living in tents, nothing that can protect us. When the rain falls, we will drown.
The start of the rainy season and the possibility of flooding increased fears that the already damaged enclave sewage system will be overwhelmed, and then disease will spread. Winters can be wet and cold in Gaza, and the enclave is sometimes hit by flooding. Juliet Touma is the Director of Communications at the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency.
When I would go to Gaza and there would be just a few drops of rain, the streets would just flood because the systems are not good enough to absorb and do all the, the absorption and all the sewage and water management and all of this. So the streets would really flood. This is in a normal day.
The World Health Organization said last week that Gaza faced an increased risk of disease spreading because Israeli air bombardments had disrupted the health system. The airstrikes have also limited access to clean water and caused people to crowd in shelters. WHO spokesperson Margaret Harris.
We're very concerned. We've already got outbreaks of diarrheal diseases. We've already got recorded well over 30,000 cases when we would normally expect 2,000 cases in the same period.
The Norwegian Refugee Council said the start of the rainy season could mark the most difficult week in Gaza since the conflict began. And other aid agencies have said trying to simply meet the daily needs of Gazans has meant they've been unable to plan ahead for potential flooding. Israel vowed to wipe out Hamas after the October 7th attack. Over 1,200 people were killed and about 240 were taken hostage, according to Israel. Medical officials in Hamas-run Gaza say over 11,000 people have been killed in Israel's strikes since then.
US public support for Israel's war against Hamas terrorists in Gaza is eroding, and most Americans think Israel should call a ceasefire to a conflict that has ballooned into a humanitarian crisis. According to a new Reuters Ipsos poll, 32% of respondents say the United States should support Israel when asked what role the United States should take in the fighting. That was down from 41% who said that the United States should back Israel in a Reuters Ipsos poll conducted on the October 12th and 13th. Now the share saying the US should be a neutral mediator rose to 39% in the new poll from 27% a month earlier. 4% of respondents in the poll said the United States should support Palestinians, and 15% said the US should not be involved at all, both similar readings to a month ago. The drop in United States support seen in the new poll among both Democrats and Republicans, and especially among older respondents, follows weeks of heavy Israeli bombardment and ground combat against Hamas in Gaza in retaliation for an 7th of October rampage by the Islamist terrorists in southern Israel. About 1,200 people were killed and around 240 were taken as hostage. Tragedy strikes Jabalia yet again, where Palestinians helplessly searched through the wreckage of homes razed by an Israeli airstrike on Monday. Hamas reports over 30 lives were lost and numerous injuries, with 12 residential buildings obliterated. Palestinians trying to search for what's really remaining through the debris. Right on your screens, visuals from the same. These are the visuals from Jabalia, where Palestinians were helplessly searching through the wreckage of homes razed by an Israeli airstrike. The Israeli army released footage in showing its soldiers carrying out military operations and dismantling Hamas centers and capabilities in al-Shati in Gaza. Strikes also targeted what Israel claimed were Hamas locations. Another video displayed Israeli tanks and armored vehicles during a military operation in al-Shati, cited as a central Hamas center in Gaza. These are the raids carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces on the Hamas terrorists. That's the footage. They're showing Israeli army dismantling the Hamas network, the Hamas centers in Gaza's al-Shati. Israeli troops entered Gaza's biggest hospital on Wednesday and were searching its rooms and basement, witnesses said, amid global alarm over the fate of thousands of civilians trapped inside. We're talking about the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. Take a look at this report.
Israel released a video said to show its troops entering Gaza's biggest hospital, Al-Shifa, on Wednesday. It says Hamas fighters have the beating heart of their operations in a headquarters in tunnels beneath it, and that troops uncovered unspecified weapons and terror infrastructure inside the hospital compound after killing fighters in a clash outside. Hamas denies this. The Israeli army also said there had been no fighting and no friction with civilians, patients or staff. This video, released by the Gaza Health Ministry on Wednesday, but shot in previous days, is said to show the aftermath of a recent Israeli strike on the hospital. Medics are seen trying to evacuate patients from a ward hit by shelling. It also shows the premature babies that Gaza's health ministry now says are being transferred from their incubators to another area in the hospital that still had some electricity. Martin Griffiths is the UN aid chief.
I understand the Israelis' concern for trying to find the leadership of Hamas. That's not our problem. Our problem is protecting the people of Gaza from what's been visited upon them.
Gaza officials say many patients, including 3 newborn babies, died in recent days as a result of Israel's encirclement of the facility. Staff are without power to operate basic medical equipment. Dr. Ahmed El-Mokhalalati spoke to Reuters by phone from inside the hospital. Gunshots could be heard in the background.
We can hear continuous shooting.
He said staff were hiding as fighting unfolded outside the hospital overnight and that the Israelis had targeted the hospital directly.
But again, it's totally scary situation.
Complex and sensitive.
Israeli army spokesperson Daniel Hagari said the army has facilitated wide-scale evacuation of the hospital.
IDF forces are carrying out a precise and targeted operation against Hamas in a specified area in the Shifa hospital.
Israel had given Hamas a 12-hour deadline to stop military activity in the hospital. It said, unfortunately, it did not. This video released by the Israeli army was said to show medical supplies being brought in for those inside. The United States said on Tuesday that its own intelligence supported Israel's conclusions about the presence of a Hamas headquarters at Al-Shifa. Izzat El-Rashak, member of the Hamas political office and media officer, said in a video by the militant group that makes American President Biden a full participant of this occupation and this crime. Israel launched its campaign to annihilate Hamas after it rampaged through Israeli towns on October 7th. About 1,200 people were killed, according to Israel. Since then, Israel has put Gaza under siege. Gaza health officials say more than 11,000 Palestinians are confirmed killed.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of the Bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. This is me, Neha, signing off. Have a great day ahead.
News 9 big coverage of 5 assembly polls. Mandate 2023. Hamas attacks Israel. Israel Defense Forces strike back at Hamas. As the war unfolds, watch the comprehensive coverage of the Israel war only on News 9 Plus. To watch the full story, download the app now.